Hey, welcome back to the series on a mono-space version of Name Sans. I'm Steven, I make fonts as Aerotype, and thanks for joining. I'm gonna probably keep this video pretty short today because, to be honest, I don't know immediately actually that many things I want to fix, but I do know a couple that I definitely want to fix. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit about where the project is at and my current plans for it. So first of all, as kind of an announcement, I have released my website. This is kind of the second major version of the Aerotype website. It's built on the Fontdu platform, so that helped me to make things faster. It kind of gave me a setup for like the checkout stuff for customers and lots of admin tools. I built it using a Next.js template started by the developer of Fontdu, and then I customized it a lot. Almost everything was customized here a lot. Yeah, so it was a big learning process for me. Tom from Fontdu did help out in several cases where it was just beyond my level of JavaScript or Next.js knowledge. But yeah, really fun process, and I'm very excited to have a much better website out where people can actually like directly license my fonts. Hopefully, it looks a little better for people who might be in the market for, say, custom fonts or whatever. There's lots of type testers. There's things here and there that I actually kind of, I miss a little bit about my previous type testers. But those were just like vastly more simple web pages to the point where this is a lot better. So I'm happy with it. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see everything here. There's also kind of lists of my custom projects, the major ones at least, a bit about me, and then there's a longer essay on Name Sans. So if you're interested in the project that is kind of the origin of this monospace, then yeah, please come over here and take a look. The monospace actually is partly, if you see some of these early sketches, kind of partly a way to explore using some of these quirky or more expressive totally offshoot ideas of the project, rather than, the Name Sans version was trying to be a little bit like interesting and really good looking, but also like not trying to draw attention to itself per se. Not trying to be overly expressive, but just trying to be a really good sans serif typeface for graphic designers to use. And then Name Mono is more trying, like accepting that a font can be expressive and that is a useful thing for a monospace to be expressive. And yeah, so that's kind of where it's at. A fun thing about having a monospace in a very early version is that I like to use monospace styles in Markdown essays or blog posts to kind of refer to letters as letters. And yeah, previously I've used my font Recursive, but of course, Name Mono fits a little more seamlessly with Name Sans in an essay about Name Sans. So that was cool. Also, I'm using Name Mono for all of the like UI here. And it's pretty nice for things like these are cool because they don't change width when you select them and they go bold. It also kind of is nice to have a little section of like metadata set in a monospace font and say like the language list set in the monospace font. Yeah, I just think it's really fun to use monospace typography in a lot of these contexts. I guess the captions are also in monospace, which is another place where I think monospace fonts look cool and are kind of useful, because if you're like reading an essay on a phone or, very narrow viewport, it helps to really like kind of have that secondary style or tertiary style, I guess. So people know that it's not exactly part of the essay so much as a caption. So yeah, through this process, I did find a few things and like come to a firmer conclusion on a few things that I want to change. In a previous video, I had decided that the Y would kind of fit in better if it had this sort of flat bottom. Um, oh God. Oh, how do I zoom out? Okay, here we go. Um, and I've reversed my decision on that. Can I zoom in? Oh, this is a much better way to zoom in, like a pinch zoom. Yeah, I think this move works pretty well in like the F and the J, uh, partly because the J isn't a very common thing, and then partly because the Y has something here. So I don't know, my eye just trips up on it. It does feel like it's rotated more than the other letters, which feel more slanted. So yeah, I'm going to go and swap back to the previous version. The thrilling decisions of type design, indeed. And then like the uppercase Q was also kind of a little bit not my favorite. So yeah, I might shorten the middle of W and extend the right side of 1. Uh, Basically, by the way, this is a very basic insight into as I'm creating a font, and especially as it's further along, like I have to record to-dos of the font. And so, for instance, yeah, by the time I was kind of getting past name sans v0.10, I converted over to a GitHub project, which is kind of like a Trello view, if you've ever used Trello, where I could kind of record each thing very granularly and move it along. That was really, really helpful. But yeah, just any way to take lists and check things off is quite essential in any kind of a complex project. But yeah, oh, one more thing I'll mention before actually drawing anything is that this text is pretty cool. It is testing text from Source Foundry. There's actually this big Code Corpora repo, and I think it's open licensed, MIT licensed, which is pretty cool. So, and I guess some of these things have their own licenses, but yeah, I will probably end up using this more for some of the like display graphics and also for some of the testing and proofing aspects of this font. So yeah, love that Source Foundry put this together. Chris Simpkins put that together because it'll be really useful to like really test this font at a higher level than I might be able to do just like doing the coding tasks that I happen to do. Yeah, so that's a lot of explanation. Let's kind of get into reversing some of these changes. So I guess I'll open a new tab. I had Y. Which one was it? I think it was probably Y0.3A. I will Command D that one. And then I think the Romans are the same anyway. They look very much the same to me, at least. Yeah, I don't think I changed them. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to Command delete this Y. And then I'm going to change this Y to the default. Cool. And Glyphs is pretty nice because it automatically adds that Unicode and takes care of the details, which is no small feat. Yeah, cool. So if we go back here, the Y is automatically updated. Very nice. And yeah, I could write a quick script for that sort of thing, but it's kind of so easy to do by itself that I don't necessarily need to. And the other thing was the Q. I guess I don't really see it too much. I will use Wordomat to see if I can get 100 words with Q, capital Q, and capitalized words. Cool. And basically what I was noticing is that when you're pretty zoomed out, this inner Q tail feels kind of underpowered. So I want to extend that. And I guess I'll copy this current one to the background, partly just as a guide. Yeah, that's really extended. I'm not quite worrying too much about the light style just yet. I'm just trying to get like the bold. I see. This was part of it. Q dot. I see. Yeah, I think I've got to add in some like glyph substitution, and I would usually do that with a design space. I know there's a glyphs way to do it as well, but I need to check whether that successfully outputs when you build a font with FontMake. I believe it might, but I'm not positive on that, and I don't feel like testing it right at the moment. I'm not going to worry about the thin. Yeah, I will pretty much go and test this. This is quite extended now. Maybe I'll even like bump it out just a little bit more. And I bet I could stand to bump these out a little more too, just to, I should have this going. Maybe it already is set up with, or no, I think that's just literally just because I've like so drastically pulled it in there. And honestly, that might be the reason it was looking severely underpowered as well. You can see that like if I move this a lot, this changes just a little bit. Maybe what I should do is like at least allow this to be quite a bit wider for the medium. Even if this has to be a little shorter to not appear in the bold at first. That's probably a good compromise. Basically, I'm thinking I want to ship a v0.1 before actually figuring out everything. Because, yeah, that's what subsequent versions are for, isn't it? Sorry, I like how British people say, isn't it? All right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely bigger. I'm going to try it for a bit and see how it feels. May or may not be exactly the right move, but that's why I like to use fonts for a bit, especially monospace fonts, or any font, I guess, before publishing them. But I do also want to publish this pretty early. I think it's a cool thing and useful already. And I would be interested to see what other people might make of it or do with it or any of that. Yeah, I don't know. I might figure out this one thing because it's pretty simple to figure out. But I think that is kind of like the okay, fine. I'll do the W as well. I think this is going to be an instance where I try I'll save the current version in an alt because I'm not entirely sure of what I want to do yet. Let's see why. Oh, okay, it's just E. I'm going to try to match the things here. It's about right. This almost looks slightly reverse contrast, where the middle felt a little bit thicker than the outside, which I don't particularly want. So I'm going to just nudge these slightly. Okay, and then let's do, nope, not that one. Let's do this guy. Is this too extreme? That's right at the X height. I noticed that I think IBM Plex puts this right at the X height, which is kind of low, to be honest. Like visually, to me, that's a little low. I don't know. But it kind of works well there. Maybe I'll boost it up just a bit. Sort of like small caps are a bit above the X height so that they look like they fit in. I think that maybe should stay a little bit above the X height. Okay, well, I will basically, oh yeah. I wish, can I directly show, whatever, I'll copy it into the background. I'm guessing there's a way to directly show like one layer and the other, but I don't know it immediately. And if you know it, leave it in the comments, please. But I will come back and figure that one out on my own time. Let's also get this one, please. I'm hopping between layers with command and the number. So like going to the 6th source here is command 6. So pretty easy. All right. So that, is the basic change there. Oh, and I guess to be thorough, I noticed that the 1 is kind of looks a little off center. And also, for instance, things like the L go a little further towards, a little bit of this is kind of inevitable and unavoidable in a font, probably like a monospace font, in particular the italics. But I guess at least I don't want the L to be further to the right than the 1. So I guess it's less far in that case. 37. I don't know. Yeah, everything in a mono is a bit of a compromise sometimes. Because like you want it to look centered between the H's, of course. Yeah. I don't know. I will probably come back to that some more in the future. But for now, yeah, those were some like must-do changes. And now I must test them and see how they're going. And then, yeah, keep on the lookout for this. By the way, subscribe to me on YouTube, and I'll probably update you eventually. But also on my website, there is a newsletter. And so I would love it if you sign up for the newsletter. I don't use that newsletter very often. It's really just for big new releases. Not often even like point releases necessarily, but yeah, it's just to like keep up with the Foundry at a very basic level. So yeah, sign up if you're interested in that sort of thing. Thanks for watching. Hope you're having a great day. If you're working on something creative, I hope it's going awesome. Thanks. Bye-bye.